Alright, welcome back to MMG. I'm sorry if that was a spoiler alert for the movie Contagion, but that was the end scene. I watched it this weekend just to get in the spirit, right? Alright, so why did I show you that? Well, it's interesting, right? Because, The Simpsons, a lot of these movies, they tend to predict the future somehow. So, the coronavirus, right? Nobody talks about this, but for the past 6 months, like over 90% of the pigs have died in China because they had some sort of like swine flu. Now, and then it came from, but everyone's saying it's coming from a bat. And then there's the conspiracies, there's like that umbrella corporation uh, in Wuhan testing all sorts of pathogens that might escape from there. And then there's all sorts of conspiracies and whatnot. I'm not gonna get into them because if there isn't substantial evidence, and I've seen the patent thing. Listen, there needs to be substantial evidence, and it has to be proven. Now, so it's it is interesting, right? A fruit bat dropped, droplets. I wouldn't say food because they do crap everywhere. Funny story. When I was in college, I'm watching a movie and something drips on my forehead, and it was a bat flying in the middle of the living room. Then I had to take it out with. I had to take it out. So, um, let's say something like that did happen where the pig flu virus mixed with some sort of bat virus, and then they have those insane wet markets in China where they sell everything wild and people eat them alive, and it's crazy. Obviously, if you're not in the newsroom, links below this video, then you don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe you haven't seen it. But I posted videos about it. I posted so much crap in the newsroom about this coronavirus. I might have gone a little overboard. All right. So, how is it going to impact the markets? Is this like the end of humanity as we know it? And blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. Listen, this virus, I mean, it's bad, but it's going to be okay. Don't panic. But funny thing, look at this. Many planes actually made it out of Wuhan yesterday and today. This is today's news, Zero Hedge. And at 1300, right? Uh, Thousands were getting off the planes and they weren't even checked. That's crazy. That's still happening, right? Now, this virus is more contagious than the SARS, okay? And I'm going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about markets. I'll even look at the Bitcoin chart. Um, I'm going to cover everything because I haven't made a video in like 4 or 5 days. By the way, 5 days ago, I called it, right? I made that video. Well, Wednesday I made the video talking about it, and then Thursday night, Friday morning, I made a video talking about how this could possibly put in the top to the markets, and it could be that Black Swan event because this thing is spreading very, very quickly, and it's going to cause a supply chain breakdown in China, which is the second largest economy in the world, and this damn thing's spreading all across the world, and there's going to be measures taken to stop this that'll negatively affect the economy, right, globally. And it could easily put in a top to this market, easily. And that's what I'm looking for, and I'm still thinking. So, look at these. This is a nice visual of planes flying around the world. At any given time, there's about 90 to 100,000 planes flying within a span of 24 hours. That is crazy. Like, think about it. Every time you look up, you can see at least 3 planes at once in the sky, if not more. And yeah, so that's why this thing could spread virally across the globe, right? Now, I may have a little bit overreacted, and I'm going to talk about that. But let's take a look at this. Here's another radar. You guys can see the planes flying around. I want to drag this to China, and this is actual real radar, like live, right? It's 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, what has happened, pretty much. If I could zoom in here and drag it around. So let's go to China. I just passed Hawaii there. Zoom out a little bit. Alright, here's China. Here's Japan. I know it's hard to see because there's so many planes. They should have made the planes a little bit smaller since there's so many. And then here's China. This is in the past 24 hours. All the flight traffic. And look at this. And technically it's live air traffic. So this is what's going on right now. Now where's Wuhan? I'm trying to zoom in, trying to find Wuhan. My geography isn't that bad as most, but China, I don't really know it that well. Wuhan's somewhere in the center here. Man, China's big. Still not as big as Russia, right? You know what's funny? We haven't heard of any reports coming out of Russia. So I can't read Chinese, so I'm just going to zoom out. You could pretty much see where Wuhan is because it's actually a smaller city. It's not like the larger ones. And 5 million did leave the city, right? But it's probably in this area somewhere where there's less flight traffic, right? If I zoom out. Still a lot of flights going on in China. And they're going all over the world, right? Everywhere. Everywhere. India, the second largest population in the world, very close to China's population size. A lot of flights back and forth to China, right? And you know what's amazing? Africa has not been infected yet. Europe has, right? Australia, probably the Middle East by now. Russia and Africa haven't. Now, I'm feeling like Russia hasn't said anything. They probably know of cases, but they're probably scrambling to take care of it before panicking, before causing a panic, right? But again, they're more communist, right? So they want to save face, and they're always in control, and their government's the best, right? And they could handle it. That's how all these communist countries go. So why am I showing you this? This is still going to spread globally, and it's going to affect the global economy. All right. Now, here's where I overreacted, and I'll show you guys. So, before I talk about that, U.S. health officials fast-track coronavirus vaccine. Hope to start clinical trials in 3 months. Well, that's pretty crazy. 3 months? A lot could happen in 3 months, right? So this is going to continue to spread around the world, especially since they haven't closed down any air traffic and anything else, right? The only places where there's a shutdown and a quarantine of everything are major Chinese cities infected. But because the incubation period, right, is about 2 weeks, there's people right now all over the world infecting other people, right? And they're doing this for up to 2 weeks. And then those people are going to get it, and then they're going to go ahead and infect people as well. And it's going to continue to spread. This is going to be global. It will. It's fact, in my opinion. In my opinion, right? I'm not a scientist. Now, so this is still going to be in the news. It's still going to be a big issue, a health crisis, and it's still going to be serious, and it's going to be global, and it's probably there's going to be a person in your town or city or wherever. Now, it's going to be interesting when the breakout happens in like a huge Western cities like London, Paris, heavily populated cities, Rome, New York, right? That's where it's going to get crazy. And you're going to see panic and crisis, right? And then you might see shortages on the shelves, this and that. So, but it's still not going to be the end of the world. So relax. This is where I overestimated, and I didn't think too much into this, which because I'm not a scientist, right? But granted, I did take 2 years. What? Probably 4 to 6. No, 6. I'd say about 6 semesters in radiology. So I did I did do a report or a project on viruses at one point. And, I kind of know about this stuff, but that was a long time ago. It was like over 10 years ago. So, anyways, this is where I messed up. Because I was thinking one person with the R naught can infect up to 2 to 4 people a day. Well, that's not exactly how bad it is. It's not that infectious. It's infecting. So, in the lifespan of someone having this coronavirus, they're infecting. The official numbers are like 2.5 to 3.6 or something like that. So, you're infecting anywhere from 2 to 4 people. So, if you catch it, on average, you're going to infect about 2 to 4 people, okay? Within, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks. Which, I have a hard time believing that. Because if this is more infectious than the SARS and twice as infectious as the flu, you would think you would infect at least one person a day. Obviously, it also depends on where you live, how many people you come in contact with, if you're in large crowds, if you're going to many social gatherings and events, right? But I thought it would be more infectious. Like, if you get onto a plane, I thought one person with this would infect at least like 10, 15 people on a plane. Anywhere, like all the people around them. Or if they sneezed on a plane, might infect everyone on the plane. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I watched that movie. Hollywood's going to do that to you. But here's the deal, guys. It's you could stop it. And how do you stop it? Well, there's 2 ways to stop it, mainly. Everyone wears masks, gloves, because if you sneeze and it falls on a surface, it could actually live on that surface. There's study, like information's come out that this thing could survive up to a day on a surface, on any surface. Now, if someone sneezes, it's on that surface, it's there for a day, and people could walk by, touch a railing, a doorknob, touch screens. They're everywhere now. Touch screens. You order food. You go to ATMs. They're everywhere, right? They're in gas stations everywhere. Uh, right, gas stations. When you go to the pumps, you touch the pump. Think of it on a daily basis. What do you touch? What about subway systems in major cities, right? So if someone has this thing and they don't show symptoms for up to 2 weeks and they're sneezing in subways and whatnot, this thing could still. That's why I have a hard time believing you only infect about 4 people in 2 weeks. I feel like it should be more, but so far that's the information, okay? And I can't dispute it with any facts. So, but in the beginning I freaked out because I'm like, well, in 2 weeks you could infect thousands of people. That's what I was thinking, right? It makes sense to me. Anyways, again, I'm not a scientist. Pathogen virus, scientist here. So but the what's his name from Peak Prosperity, apparently he has the degree, right? And he's been making videos. He's concerned. So, and I do believe everything he's saying, that this is going to be more serious than anyone really is thinking right now. And you know what? And he shows in his videos, mainstream media. Now, guys, you've been looking this stuff up, so it's going to show up in your search results, right? And but if you put on a VPN and you delete your cookies or use a different search engine you never use, and you look at the news, it's like it's not headline. It's not in the headlines. Like, you have to scroll down quite a bit to see anything about it, and it's usually with the stock market, the headlines. So it's not like a public emergency and announcement or warning from the media, which is, of course, makes me think that this is going to be way more worse than we believe that it's going to be, because usually taking the opposite of mainstream media is the right thing to do, right? Anyways, so here's the thing. 2 ways to stop this. Everyone has to wear PPEs, right? In the military we have that. We say that. PPEs, personal protective equipment. You have to cover the membranes. Your eyes are membranes. They'll suck in any virus. So mask, eyewear, and gloves on your hands. And then probably, when you get home, you got to wash your clothes, this and that. I have no idea if hand sanitizer with alcohol will even kill the virus. Some people say it won't. Some people say it will. But I don't know. So, but if everyone does that, right, and they don't go into, and, everyone cancels big events, then you could easily quarantine this, right? Because then it'll stop spreading if everyone's wearing PPEs, right? So with time, and this is months and months, it'll stop spreading. Or the second thing is they come out with a vaccine and then everyone gets vaccinated, which is horrible to think because I don't like it. And then they have to make it into law, right? Like, everyone's got to get it. And that'll probably stop it as well. And then they could still do the quarantines, and then they can narrow it down, get everyone together that has been infected, treat them and quarantine them, and then it'll stop spreading. Now, here's the thing, though. This has to be done globally, because this has spread globally at this point. Now, some countries, right, first world, and China's actually done a pretty good job, right? Well, sorta. I mean, considering they had the Chinese New Year's, I think they were covering it up the first month, and then, when it finally started breaking out and they couldn't hide it, then they went into overdrive, and they're literally blocking roads. People can't leave their homes now in certain cities of millions of people. And, you have to give them credit for that. Now, can that even be done in the West or any other country? Because there isn't that much control, right? By governments. I don't know. I doubt it. In the West, I think everyone may end up wearing masks and eye protection and gloves if it gets as bad as it does in China, because that's the only way to stop it if there's no vaccine, and it'll be like that until there's a vaccine, and it'll take a lot of time to stop the spread. Now, third world, like listen, guys, in Africa, South America, even India, their population is enormous. It's almost the size of China's. And they have extremely crowded urban areas. Like, it's insane. It's going to spread like wildfire. Even with R naught of, let's say, 2.5, right? I mean, it's going to compound. So the difference between a poor person and a rich person is they don't understand the power of compounding, right? When it comes to investing. Well, if this thing, if people can't get if masks sell out globally, which they are right now, right? Chinese people here in the US are buying the masks off shelves now at home improvement stores and shipping them back to China and selling them, who knows, or giving them to their family members. Online, it's already sold out everywhere. The certain masks, the best ones, right? The N95, right? So you have to think about this. Like, for the first few months here, there probably won't be enough masks. There probably won't be enough people taking it seriously. There probably won't be enough, the people won't wear eye protection or gloves. They're still not going to take it seriously and wash their hands. And people won't take it seriously until they have to, in my opinion. And this thing is going to keep going and going. And the only way to stop it is pure quarantine of your entire population. Like, either everyone by law has to wear the PPEs, and maybe at some point, if it gets bad enough, they, just like in Wuhan, you'll have a week or two of lockdown, right, where you just can't leave your home. So take that into consideration. Now, but it doesn't mean that this is the death toll going to be enormous? I don't think so. But the fact that it's because it probably won't be enormous because of all the actions that'll be taken, but there'll probably be a decent amount globally. I have no idea how much. But let's say if humanity did nothing and kept this and let this run, well, imagine right now the death toll is the mortality rate is like 3%. It's probably a little higher. I believe it's probably like 5. Maybe it's even 10, because so far maybe elderly and children haven't been affected all that much. You don't know, because it's not that much yet. Only 107 right now so far have died. So out of that 107, how many were elderly and children? We don't know. And these numbers can't be trusted, right? I guarantee you could probably 10x these numbers, or at least 5x them. And that's probably the more realistic number. But, it is about a 3% for fatality right now. So, the world has, let's say 4 billion have been infected in the world. That would mean that 107 million would die. If you wanted to, just scale this up to a global population, that's a lot of people. It would, but more than less, guys, don't panic. Maybe get some gloves, some eye protection, and some masks. Maybe a little bit of food, right, for like a week or two, at the minimum. and do it now before prices go up and shortages. I mean, there's already shortages. I got 100 masks. I'm good. Maybe I could sell them for $100 a pop later on. I don't know. Is there something wrong with that? Not really. I mean, more than not, I'm going to have to give them to friends and family who just, normies, right? Who don't pay attention to stuff like this. They're like in a whole different world of like watching BS news, right? And, right, they just care about um, shows, sports, and uh, actors and athletes. All right. What do I have here? I already forgot. I have a bunch of windows open. So, China coronavirus. Hong Kong medical experts call for draconian measures in city as research estimates there are already 44,000 cases in Wuhan. Right. This is what Hong Kong is saying. Experts there. I guarantee you there's. And then there was that video that doctor said there was already 90,000 cases. So that was a few days ago. It's probably over 120 now. So this is extremely infectious. Don't get me wrong. I just thought in 2 weeks, one person can infect thousands or hundreds of people. Apparently it's only about, let's say 4 people, right? So, yeah, right here it's saying 150,000 new cases will be confirmed every day. So, guys, you still have to take this extremely seriously. Now, this virus, it's actually very dangerous because we've already seen videos coming out of Wuhan and other cities, even like Shanghai, where people are panicking and the stores' shelves are empty. And they can't get food and supplies. People are going to stop going to work. People, even if they do go to work, right? Like essential supply chains type of work, they're going to be less productive. I mean, when you've got masks on, goggles constantly, gloves, you're just going to be less productive. The productivity of the world's second largest economy is about to like drop off of a cliff. Matter of fact, more and more cities are more than likely going to get quarantined like Wuhan. So the second largest economy in the world, the engine of the world economy because of their production capacity and making things, is about to come to a screeching halt, at least for a week or two. Even maybe it'll be longer, maybe a month or something like that. That's enough for the Black Swan event, to pop this giant global credit-driven, debt-driven economy. Global economy, by the way. China is just as bad as the U.S., if not worse. So this is more than enough to pop it, to start the recession, to start the global recession type scenario. And I'll get to the markets. I know they rallied today, which is unbelievable, but I'll get to it. So now think about it. It's already spread, these are cases, right, to Europe, Australia, US, Canada. There's already a case in South America. And the whole globe is going to get taken over with this. And it spreads just fast enough, in my own opinion, what I believe, to where I'm not going to say it's going to cause a crisis or a panic. I'm just saying that we might, globally, everyone might have to start wearing masks if a vaccine doesn't come out anytime soon. So in the previous article, the U.S. will start trials in 3 months. I mean, in 3 months from now, this thing keeps spreading, right? Everyone's going to be wearing masks and gloves in Europe and the U.S. for sure, even in Russia, in the major cities of Russia, because I have a lot of land, they're spread out. I mean, all the major cities all around the world. So it's gonna cause problems with the economy, productivity, supply chains are going to slow. Listen, I don't think the virus is going to make it from China in an Amazon package to the US. I did put in the private group that might happen, but that was a few days ago. Yeah, it's probably not. If it does, though, Amazon becomes the largest spreader of this thing globally, and it'd be a great shorting opportunity. I'm not going to lie. That's when I start using options, guys. When I see there's a guaranteed short and I could, leverage up 100x with an option. So, yeah. Listen, the market's ignoring this. Why is the market ignoring this? Well, because Wednesday, we're going to have an FOMC, and the Fed has already said something on the lines of, don't worry, guys, we could print money. I'm dead serious. And you know what? Apple had record earnings as well. So Apple, the largest market cap on the markets, right? This is the tide that raises all ships. It raises the indexes. So it makes the indexes go higher. Doesn't make the smaller companies go higher or the mid-sized companies. It just raises, Apple going up in price will raise the other, the FANG stocks, all the major ones. Because everyone with the retirement, because in my opinion, that's also a scam, is just holding they're holding index funds, okay? So when the largest market cap company rises 10%, it'll pull everything up a little bit, like 1% or something like that. And that's why when this thing corrects and the trend changes, it's going to be a horrific drop. Like you fell down the elevator shaft, all right? That's why I keep saying that. Cuz right now the index funds and the major cap companies are dragging everything higher, but as soon as this trend changes, and it will soon, I believe, it's going to be horrific. What else? So all eyes on Apple. Will the market's biggest pillar finally crack? Now, looking at the earnings of Apple, this is their earnings down here. Look how detached it is, the price. This is the price up here. How detached it is from the underlying fundamentals. Extremely detached. Like, this gap, it's going to get filled at some point. Okay? So, Apple, it's up here over $300. To fill that gap, I mean, it could fall, it could get cut in half. 40%, something like that, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow Apple rallies and has a melt-up blow off top soon. Alright. So I'm going to go into the charts in a second. So WTI extends gains. Now, the thing with oil, guys, there's like a hell of a lot less cars driving around in China now. Supply could definitely drop if there's going to be, for the next few weeks or months, more cities ending up like Wuhan, where it's completely quarantined, no driving around, and I could see the demand for oil definitely drop, so I wouldn't chase any rising oil prices for now. The next few weeks and months, definitely. Yeah, stocks soared today. Metal sold off. I'll talk about that. What else? I'll talk a little bit about the burn. So it's funny, guys. 5 days ago, Thursday night, or 6 days. No, it's 5. I made that video that the coronavirus can be the black swan that pops the bubble. Just recently, like yesterday and today, people started saying that, right? Guys, I'm always ahead. I try to be ahead, right? At least a week. And I feel like everyone watches me and listens to me, and then I don't make a video for 4 or 5 days, and then I make another video and I remind you guys, hey, that last video, kind of turned out to be true, right? It was a good prediction, right? Not that I'm always right. I'm not. I'm going to be wrong. I'm not a prophet, right? But my track record's pretty damn good. Speaking of my track record, remember my all-time high call? Well, um, it's sort of right. It's still right. So I'll talk about this, right? So 1 trillion deficits for the US economy going forward and plus. This is what I'm trying to say, guys. If this virus really starts spreading in the US and GDP drops because of it, what happens is, and not just that, then the government has to spend a ton of money to combat this. It's like a double whammy. GDP falls some more, productivity drops, falls, and then the budget deficit explodes even more, right? Let's talk about the markets. So let this load. Here's the US markets. They definitely rallied today. Now, why did they rally? It's the FOMC is coming up tomorrow, and rate decision, right? And then Powell's going to speak, I believe. I haven't checked really into it. Maybe they'll release just something. I don't know. They don't have to speak every time, but he'll probably speak. He's going to be super dovish. Now, the market over here, this is how detached from reality is, and it's in such a euphoria that they don't care about this thing spreading and causing economic problems globally. They only care about the Fed, and the Fed being dovish and maybe lowering rates tomorrow. And then talking about maybe some more repo and some more, basically more QE, right? It's ridiculous. It's out of this world. And you know what's funny? The more that the Fed does this before the crisis, the less bullets it's going to have when the crisis actually hits. And it's going to hit in the next, within the next, I believe, by the end of this year. Can it maybe not hit? I doubt it. I personally think we're at the top right now, personally. Now, it's not financial advice. I could be completely wrong about that. But again, my all-time high call with the S&P at I forgot. We'll take a look at that. It was at 3,220 or 3,120. I forgot which one, because I made the call a month ago. But that's how you know my. And by the way, guys, TA works. Someone's gonna say, "Oh, you just got lucky because of this virus." No, it would have corrected anyways. It's just that this virus is it's definitely a nice nail in the coffin of this euphoric melt up. All right. This is the global markets, all green. Even in China. How insane is that? That's how you know that this we're in that euphoria phase, because everyone ignores fundamentals and realities. Now, of course, today was green as well, because the day prior, the markets fell 500 points, 400 points on the Dow. You're going to get a dead cat bounce. You're going to get a little bit of a bounce. The PPT came in, plunge protection T. They're going to keep it up somehow. They don't want to. They don't want it to just start free falling. They're going to, put in stops to keep it, put in huge buy orders. And that's a conspiracy, I'm just saying. But I would not be. Listen, guys, at this point, they'll do anything to keep this from falling apart. Because I know for a fact they're so scared to death of it. And they want to keep it going as long as humanly possible. And they'll probably do anything. And the average person, the public, they don't know what's going on. Half of Wall Street doesn't know what's going on. They live in their own bubble, right? The only people who know what's going on is very small percentage of people. All right. So let's take a look at some charts. See how long this video is. It's already 39 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this under 50. You know what? Tomorrow morning I'm gonna do TA. Smash some likes. Go to my website. Metals still look good and great. Nah. I'm gonna finish up. Let's talk about the markets. Here's S&P 500. Let's take it to a daily. Why didn't this reload? What? All right. I hate trading view. It's very colorful, easy to use, easy interface, easy to see on videos, and I like using it because it's just. But when I trade, I use the brokerage accounts, charts as well, and software like Thinkorswim. The monthly is still on the 9 sell TDI for the S&P 500. The monthly. So next month, the end of this month, next month, right? This month ends in a few days. But I expect a huge correction, guys, still. Just based off of TA, fundamentals, everything. More earnings are going to come out, and they're not going to all be like Apple. They're not. Retail sales were actually weak for this past fourth quarter. So fourth quarter's earnings are going to come out in the next few weeks. The dollar, it almost hit 98. The 98 handle. Let's take a look at the dollar real quick. It might trade sideways, but it's probably going to go a little bit higher as this crisis ensues globally, and then the demand for cash is going to rise. People will take cash out of the banks and hoard it a little bit just in case they need stuff. I mean, I don't think it's going to get that bad, but it's still, the dollar is still the number one safe haven thing, right? Asset. It's the first knee-jerk reaction asset. So when stocks drop, everyone goes into the dollar. Here's financials. Financials have already they took a nice hit. So, and I believe there's going to be a continuation of the sell-off. This is the same sell-off I've been talking about for the past month that I've been waiting for. Here's transports. They had a nice correction yesterday and the day before. This will continue down to 10,200 on the Dow Jones transports to revisit the bottom of this channel, which should take the rest of the market with it. What do we have here? Load. So I'll take a look at the Russell and all the other indices, right? The Russell is the weakest, right? That's the domestic part of the U.S. economy, mid-size companies, because you have to remember the FANGs and the 500 Fortune on the SPX on the S&P, those are international companies. Now I'm going to take a look at the FANGs. The FANG index took a huge hit. It gapped down. It was beautiful, honestly. The Russell. Let's take a look at the Russell real quick. So here's all the indices: Nasdaq, S&P, FANGs over here. Vanguard Global took a huge hit. These are 3-day charts. So this is the Vanguard Global Index. Here's the FANG Index. Here's the Russell 2000. So these three. Look at this wick down on the Russell. It wicked below 1600. So when something wicks down like that, right now this is just a dead cat bounce. It's going to revisit it. That's a pattern you could look for with candles, right? By the way, this is more of an educational channel, not financial advice. Consult your licensed financial advisor before doing anything. Stocks extremely risky, extremely volatile. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. All right. Yeah, so I'm not going to look at them. I don't want to make this video too long. Gold took a huge hit, which is surprising. But you know what? It was coming up on a 9 sell. And it's just more consolidation, in my opinion. Did the banks smash it a little bit? Yeah, sure. But the only reason they're not rallying and breaking out and going back above 1600 for gold and back above $20 on silver is because the stock market's still at literally at all-time highs. It's very close to it. So it's when the market starts correcting is when people will start looking at metals as a safe haven, right? And they'll go into also the dollar has been rallying for the past few days. So that's also putting a little bit of pressure on metals. That's another reason why it pulled back. But I don't think it's I think it's still consolidating and there's still going to be a huge move up. Also, those mining stocks, right now, great time to buy them because they've pulled back. They pulled back much more than the actual physical metals and their price, right? And historically, they're extremely undervalued considering the price of silver and gold. Like the price of silver and gold right now at 1565 and silver at 1743, the mining stocks should be like much higher in price, but nobody cares. No one's paying attention to them because they're still in that stock market bubble, right? It's when they have to stop. It's when they start looking for other opportunities and other asset classes that are undervalued. And the only one left is metals. Maybe Bitcoin and crypto, but I think that's more risky than metals. So look at Apple here. Parabolic. Parabolic. They're all parabolic. Apple, Alphabet, JP Morgan, Berkshire, Microsoft, Amazon. They're still up there, guys. Very near all-time highs. They've pulled back a little bit since their all-time highs, though. These are monthly charts, though. So let's take a look at Apple real quick. So the way that Apple goes and the way that Apple, Tesla, and some of the other ones go, and Amazon, let's say, the way of the entire stock market bubble goes. Let's go to a 4-hourly. So the all-time highs, this is a nice, beautiful dead cat bounce or rebound. Now, Apple on its own, because of its earnings, can make new all-time highs. But I don't think the other ones will. I don't think Apple will raise the entire market by that much. So its all-time high was 323. Now it's at 317. It'll probably, test or go past, make a new all-time high tomorrow, right? Especially with the Fed being super dovish. But as fundamentals of this global slowdown due to possibly this virus popping the debt bubble and everything, I still think the market is extremely overvalued. Extremely. And it needs to correct. It just does. These are parabolic moves. Anything that goes parabolic cannot be sustained. And it's amazing it shrugged it off today. Amazing. It's the only reason was the Fed. So it's going to be extremely volatile tomorrow. Super volatile. If Powell isn't dovish enough, the markets could tank tomorrow. So I'm expecting tomorrow an interest rate cut and they'll blame it on the virus. And you know what that's going to do to metals, right? It's going to make gold and silver rally. It's probably, I'm hoping gold actually breaks 1600 and then the mining stocks will, once gold gets back above 1600, the mining stocks are going to rally with it. And then hopefully the market soon after will correct by Friday and then metals go even higher. Silver and gold go even higher. And the mining stocks go even higher. Now listen, guys, I am looking for some awesome shorting opportunities, right? And I think we're going to get some awesome shorting opportunities. Maybe tomorrow, maybe by the end of this week. I'm going to start putting on more positions tomorrow, putting on heavier positions. I'm actually going to use some options this time. So we might see some really good big. We've already seen some big moves. Now, also, I'm looking at stocks that are gonna benefit off of this global virus, the spread of this global virus. There's going to be stocks that are really gonna benefit off of it. Uh, I'm looking at like 3M, right? But they had horrible earnings and their stock dropped. We'll see if that's a good one for the private members to buy. It all depends how bad this spreads and if it gets worse, right? So yeah, some huge life-changing gains are coming like in the next few weeks, I believe. Maybe by the end of this week, right? So I'm looking for shorting opportunities, and I'm gonna release like a bunch of mining junior miners that for the private members in the next few days. To stay, I can release it now. I'm mostly done with it. So go to my website if you're interested in mining stocks. They're extremely not over, undervalued. Listen, the life changing stuff, it's still on the way. Let's take a look at Bitcoin before I end it. Go to my website though. Gotta plug myself. Not doing this for no reason. Listen, if I get the virus, I'll do vlogs. Not every day, but every other day. Tracking my progress of my sickness. It's probably not gonna happen though because I got some good some high end masks. Those N95, but with the respirator and the carbon. I even got a hazmat suit. I'm gonna make a video with it on, just to be hilarious. When I was overreacting over the weekend. Here's Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin today sells off as it is right now, falls back down towards 92, 9100, even 9000, then I see some more sideways action or a correction, and then back up maybe. But I feel like it's losing momentum now. Oh God! Of course, all the crypto tubers are like, "Is the virus good for Bitcoin? Buy Bitcoin's good for the Bitcoin." I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think institutional money is gonna buy Bitcoin because there's like a global contagion going. I just don't. All right, because in my opinion, Bitcoin. I mean, maybe people will send money to family members across the globe because the banks are gonna shut down, and you can't go to the bank. You can't get cash out. Maybe there'll be runs on some bank. There probably won't be runs, but yeah, maybe. I mean, listen, the whales will pump the price knowing that people are going to think that, and then that's why the price will go up, in my opinion. But here's a monthly. It looks like the MACD is about to turn down on the monthly. So that's very negative. Momentum is a neutral. RSI might pop up, let's say, for the short term, next few days and weeks, but I don't think we'll take out the 13,800 high. Let's go to a weekly. It's on a 4 count on the weekly, which is actually bullish. My last video, which was like a week or something ago, I said I was bullish since the dip buy down at 6,500. I did take profits, so I sort of missed this rally because I've been busy with other stuff. But I don't know. The weekly is, let's say, bullish neutral. Let's take a look at the 12 hourly. 12 hours on a 7 count though. So tomorrow, I see a nice correction coming in Bitcoin. We'll see how far it drops. The price could hold up above, if 9,000 doesn't hold it up and it breaks below 9,000, then it's definitely going to drop like somewhere around 85, 8,400. And then that might be your next dip buying opportunity. If 9,000 holds up and it trades sideways for the next like week, then more upside. But right now, for the next like, day, I see it revisiting 9,000. Alright guys, smash some likes, leave anything in the comment section, share my videos. It's the only way my channel grows, and I'll continue to do this. Check out all the links below the video. Go to my website. Take advantage of these opportunities. My services should pay for themselves, right? And they will. They will. If you buy now. There's a lot of mining opportunities. It's just that, a lot of them have gone up in the past, if you bought early enough in 2019. But we haven't seen anything yet. Nothing. Because the stock market melt up, rally, euphoria phase, no one's paying attention to mining stocks. But when they do, I'm pumped. Until next time.